The best way to understand a culture is to hear it from someone who lived it. Elica Laban is a lawyer. She actually didn't live it, but she was raised by parents who did. They're from Iran, and she explains what the West simply doesn't get about Iran. This is really fascinating information that you want to know.
Why are they doing many other things, though?
You know, I think you bring up a good point, because what I often find about what people in the West seek to do is that they try to rationalize fundamentalism. So they come up with these stories like, well, you know, I guess if, you know, America did this, then obviously they would do that. They think that there's like a cause and effect to fundamentalism. They don't understand that fundamentalism is just insanity. Like there's no why, there's no reason. It is what it is, and there's no rationalizing it. So they're kind of imputing their own rationality onto fundamentalism, which just fundamentally doesn't work.
Yeah. I get why they do it, by the way, especially as we're sitting here in LA. You look outside, it's the sun is shining, you know, all you need to do is make money and live. Why would anyone go and blow themselves up? Well, they must be really annoyed. They must be really upset.
Yeah.
They must have a good, you know, I would only blow myself up if blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
And I think it's a failure of imagination.
It's also just a failure to understand, like, true evil. Like, people don't think that it's possible to just be evil. They don't think, like, they're like, but I wonder why Hitler does that. I'm sure he was just abused, and I'm sure but he was just evil, you know. Like, just give up looking for the why, because sometimes people are just bad people who do bad things.
So come back to what they want, because one of the things that might be strange to people who are familiar with the Middle East is Iran is very far away from Israel. Right? So their objective and their desire to wipe Israel off the map, which is one of their objectives, seems to a lot of people kind of difficult to understand. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we can talk about that. So basically, Iran, there's two types of Islam. There's Shia Islam and Sunni Islam. The regime in Iran subscribes to 12 Shia Islam. So the reason it's called 12 Shia Islam is because they believe that the descendants of the original prophet Muhammad is not the correct lineage of the prophets. It's of his son-in-law and cousin. So the 12th Imam, which was Prophet Mahdi. So there's this theory called Mahdiism. This Prophet Mahdi was said to have gone into occultation. So he went into hiding around 937 CE. So he's gone into hiding, he's gone into occulation, and the theory is that the final prophet emerges once there is once justice and equality has been achieved in the world. And the thing that achieves this justice is that the last drop of blood of Israel falls. So the end of Israel brings back the final prophet.
Oh, yeah. I've never heard this. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So it's a religious thing. It's a prophecy thing.
Yeah.
So they need to destroy Israel.
They need to destroy Israel, correct. So that's why,
for the prophecy to be fulfilled.
Exactly. So that's now how you get into the proxies of the regime, right? So you have the regime almost immediately after the regime comes into power so it comes into power in 1979. Within the next 2 years, between that and 1981, they create Hezbollah. So Hezbollah is essentially a second IRGC, which was created for the purpose of destroying Israel from the closest possible border. Because as you said, Iran's not close enough to Israel to be able to accomplish that. So they were like, okay, let's take Lebanon. Let's put an army of the IRGC in Lebanon, which is
What is the IRGC? Sorry.
The Islamic Revolutionary Guardian Corps.
Okay.
So this is, okay, so the system in Iran is like this. You have a regular government, which is, for all intents and purposes, just symbolic, because it's under the so you have the supreme leader. The system is called Velayat Faqih. You have the supreme leader, and underneath the supreme leader, you have the IRGC, which protects the supreme leader. And then you have the regular government, which is parliament, judiciary, and executive, the president. But all of these are under the rule of the supreme leader. So the IRGC essentially protects this system of Velayat Faqih, the supreme leader system. So the second IRGC is created in Lebanon, which is Hezbollah. So after the revolution is successful, Assad comes to Iran to congratulate Khomeini and says, what do you need? And Khomeini says, we need a passage to Lebanon to create this second army to destroy Israel. So they go through Syria, and they come down in northern Lebanon. At the same time, this is like around the same time that, remember, Israel's now in southern Lebanon. And this is why the Western world often says that Hezbollah was created in response to Israel's occupation. Well, that's completely false. First of all, Israel was occupying the south of Lebanon at the time to remove the PLO that were throwing rockets into Israel. And in fact, the Lebanese in the south were actually allying with Israel to help take out the PLO, the SLA. Hezbollah's coming down in the north, and it's basically killing everybody who's not submitting to their rule. Even Shiites, even Shiite Muslims, Sunnis, Christians, basically everyone. They start engaging in a series of terrorist attacks, bombing the American embassy in Beirut, kidnapping Americans, killing them. Then it goes into like the kind of Iran-Contra affair, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Anyway, the whole point is that this regime creates its proxies in order to start satisfying its goal, which is the destruction of Israel. And that's how it ends up also funding and providing training and assistance to Hamas and the Houthis, basically one in furtherance of the same goal.
So I'm guessing that they don't really particularly care, the Iranian regime, which is funding all these proxies, about civilian casualties.
It's not just that they don't care, it's that they need civilian casualties. It's part of the propaganda machine. So you can't turn Israel into a pariah state, right, which is the goal, that everyone thinks this is the most evil state in the world, unless its hand is forced into striking areas where they've put munitions in schools and in hospitals and places like that, right? So that it's actually part of their strategy to maximize civilian casualties. And in fact, this was something that they read in Sinwar's, a leaked report of something that Sinwar had even admitted himself, that they need as many civilian casualties as possible. Because when they have civilian casualties, then the rest of the world is like, Israel's evil, we need a ceasefire, we need to end all of these things. And then Hamas lives to see another day.
If you're a decent Westerner, which I hope and expect you are, then you just simply can't understand that there would be a people that not only do they not care about the civilian casualties, they need the civilian casualties. They thrive on them, that have this religious zeal to have civilian casualties so that they can ultimately reach their mission. That's forcing the hand of Israel to kill civilians so that the world turns against Israel, and then ultimately they take over Israel. Like, you would never conceive of being such a brutal, wicked person. That is the Iranian regime. We must wake up and understand that.